Or they try to.
Hi everybody, we're here with Eddy Blake Eaton, the bass player for Rockabilly in Montreal. How are you today?
I'm good, how are you?
I have a question that I ask everyone. Aside from other artists, what is your biggest inspiration to write music?
That's kind of a tough question. I guess basically just like hanging out and talking to people and having a good time, and I don't know, I guess sometimes something somebody says or something that you say when you're having a conversation can kind of start to get the wheels turning and morph into a song. I mean, a lot of times when I go to write music, I'll just start free playing, I'll just start playing my bass, and if something starts to take shape and become repetitive, I'll quickly tape it with my phone or something and try to remember what it was and build on it. And I've been doing a lot of writing lately, actually, so I've got all these kind of like snippets of riffs and like half lyrics that I'm starting to review, and every once in a while a song will kind of take shape and pop out, and that's about that.
Or they try to.
Something that'll move me and take me away until we got nothing left to say. I said I'll do a little bop, little baby. Oh, do a little bop, little baby. Oh, do a little bop, little baby. Oh, do a little bop, little baby. Tricks is tearing us apart. I want your loving and I want it all. I looked your name in the bathroom stall. I said I'll do a little pop, a little baby. Oh, do a little pop, little baby. Oh, do a little pop, little baby. Oh, do a little pop, little baby. Baby, you're my whole life. You got me running on the edge of a knife. A heart as pure as the fresh falling snow. You go wherever the wind does blow. Do a little pop, little baby. Oh, do a little pop, little baby. Oh, do a little pop, little baby. Oh, do a little pop, little baby. Do a little pop, do a little pop, do a little pop, a little baby. I said I do a little pop. Do a little pop, do a little pop, a little baby.
Or they try to.
How did you get interested in rockabilly?
Well, I mean, when I was like a teenager, like I was interested in like punk rock and skateboarding and stuff. I remember seeing this picture of the Reverend Horton Heat in Thrasher magazine. And the guy had a double bass and it had flames on it and stuff, and that all really appealed to me because it was kind of like, it crossed over into punk rock. I mean, when I was a really little kid, I was really into country music. My parents had this ranch up in northern Saskatchewan, and there was a radio station from Lloydminster, and I'd listen to the radio, and that was in the 80s. Country music was still really good in the 80s, and I loved music, but to be honest, I didn't know that there was another kind of music besides country music. I just thought that's, like, they had a few records, but they were also country, and so to tell you the truth, when I was like I'm talking a little kid, 4 or 5 years old, I was really passionate about music, but it was all country music. And so eventually my family kind of migrated into the city, and I think it was like when Nirvana came out that like, honestly, I really remember Nirvana coming out. What was that, 1991? Something like that.
Roughly.
You know, that just kind of blew open my doors of like, oh wow, there's this whole world of like rock and roll and grunge and punk and teen angst music, which like suited my mood at the time. So I got into that, but I still, you know, really liked that country music. And I guess at the time my friends would kind of make fun of me for still liking country music. And then I started to find out about psychobilly music, you know, which is still more connected to the punk rock music that I was into, and that's just kind of what led to I started to look back more into rockabilly music, getting into like the Reverend Horton Heat and then the Stray Cats, and then realizing that Elvis Presley's first records were rockabilly, and then discovering you know, like Gene Vincent and Eddie Cochran, and then just, you know, the whole thing unraveling until I just had become completely obsessed with rockabilly and old-time honky-tonk music, and I just love it. I listen to it all day, every day.
That's awesome. What's psychobilly?
Well,
if I might ask.
Yeah, you know. Well, I mean, it's kind of like it sounds. It's like rockabilly, but it's like psycho, you know? So they'll turn it up loud and they'll play it fast and they'll have distortion, you know?
Like psychedelic music only.
Well, no, not like
Sort of rough.
psychedelic, like psychotic. You
Like
know?
psychotic? Nice.
Yeah, you know. And there'll be like kind of, I guess, like lots of themes about like monsters and the undead and stuff like that, you know. I don't bash psychobilly. Like I love the beat, you know, but I do prefer the more kind of traditional rockabilly music, you know, like the rockabilly and the honky tonk and the blues, you know. Basically, I'm just obsessed with 50s music.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. So do you have any albums coming out?
Well, I'm working on an album, you know, with my solo stuff, some of this loop and bass stuff. I got a guy in Ottawa that I've been working with. We've got a couple tracks done, but it's a slow process. Like, I'm not really in a rush to get it out. I'm just kind of doing it at my leisure.
Cool.
I have a 5-piece combo called Philly and the Flops I've been with for 8 years. We just put out our second record. It's called I Got Burned. It's available.
Excellent.
I also have a trio together. We're called Bucko. But so far we're just playing live and just establishing our repertoire, you know. And when it's ready, we're gonna record that too. So I guess I do. I guess I have a few kind of albums on the horizon.
A few side projects there.
A few side projects.
And
Well, I mean, basically like the solo show that. I mean, basically the solo show that I'm doing is like, I think of it as a side project, which is kind of funny because it's all mine, you know, but what I'm mostly doing is, I mean, I'm a bass player, you know, so I'm backing up as many people as I can, you know. Anybody who's inviting me to play rockabilly and blues and country, I'm there, you know, so I'm playing live all the time, 3, 4, or 5 nights a week.
do you go to any of the jazz jams and jam on jazz bass?
Well, no, I go to like the bluegrass and country jams and jam on country bass, and that would be namely the one that happens at the Wheel Club every Monday is particularly interesting. That's the Wheel Club, located at Cavendish and Sherbrooke in NDG. And that's the home of the Old Time Country Music Club of Canada, which was established in 1965 by a man named Bob Fuller. And so what they're doing there is very unique in that it's been an unchanging thing for, well, since 1965. And you play music that's written before 1965 with a whole set of rules that include that there don't be any drums or horns to keep it really old-time country. So it's a preservationist thing and it's a purist thing. And that really appeals to me because it's just like continuous music every Monday. And so you get these people coming in with these songs. They might be from Hank Williams, they might be from the Carter family, they might be obscure gems that you've never heard of. And so for me, standing there on Mondays and playing bass, it's like I've gone through like literally thousands of country songs, old country songs, you know, and that I just love. I just love those old songs.
I think people forget that rockabilly and bluegrass and country music it's all very much similar to jazz in that there is a standard repertoire.
There is.
that you can go through and improvise on. It's all pretty related in
Yeah,
terms of
it really is.
similar and different.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, bluegrass and rockabilly, they're kind of from the same time, same place. They're governed by a fairly different set of rules, but yeah, it's true. It's like it's the same thing. I mean, it's like jazz. There's standards that we play that we all know,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, jazz musicians, I'm sure, do the same thing too. Like, they're looking for like obscure gems to unearth. So are we.
Yeah.
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 You
I've
can
seen that.
still write jazz. You can still write rockabilly. You can still write bluegrass. So
It's true.
there's a lot.
It's just a particular style, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I've never, like, I mean, as an artist, like, I've never felt like pigeonholed or backed into a corner or anything by any one style of music or by any limitations, which playing a lot of old-time country and rockabilly music might have. I mean, like I said, I've studied classical music at McGill University, so that's a pretty high level of study. And I loved the symphony orchestra, but for me, it's just what I'm really passionate about. I like to slap the bass, and I like to play that rockabilly and that bluegrass music. I've played in punk bands, and I've played in like experimental projects, and I love it all. I'm just always happy when I'm playing music, but the more I keep playing and the more I keep going, the more I just feel like when I'm playing bluegrass and rockabilly music, I'm really expressing myself. The way I want to, you know. I mean, so for the solo project that I'm doing, like the stuff that you're going to listen to on this program, it's something. It's a little different for me. It's a departure, and I'm actually able to kind of incorporate more of my classical background into my rockabilly and old time country background. I think I'm still keeping it pretty country.
Stay away from me. Blues, why don't you let me be? I don't know why you keep on haunting me. Love was never meant to be. True love was never meant for me. It seems somehow we never
Yeah,
You
it sounds
know?
awesome. But you would have to come from almost have to come from a classical background to play some of the things that sound almost like fiddle, like up in the position work to get it in tune is. You make it look so easy, and it's so not.
That's flattering. I'm still working on it. You know, I'm still struggling with that stuff.
It's all
You know-
in tune. It's amazing.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, that's one thing I started to do at home. Like, even my 6th grade music teacher warned me when I said I want to play the bass fiddle. She said, you know, that might be a little bit boring at home by yourself, you know. And and it could be boring if you were just like standing at home just going boom, 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 boom. You could see how that would get boring. So I started to do different things. Like, I personally have to play music pretty much every day because it's my passion to play music, and I'm like fully addicted to it. So if I didn't have a gig or a jam in any given day, like, I'd be at home playing music, you know. And I play guitar and piano like everybody else, and I was playing the violin for a while too. But I started learning old-time fiddle tunes on my bass to amuse myself, you know. And I also started singing and playing bass while I was at home. There was a point when, like, normally I would write music on guitar, I would write music on piano, and I've been in a few bands where I'm the lead singer, and then I would go get into the band and I would perform it on bass, you know, and I'd have to kind of, you know, like, I'd get the song in front of the band and I'd realize, like, oh, I don't really think of a bass line, and I'm not really coordinated singing and playing bass, so I kind of stopped practicing singing and playing guitar and started singing and playing bass, you know,
That's a skill.
because that's what I was going to ultimately be doing live, was I'd be singing and playing bass, so I started doing that a lot at home, and I actually found that to be a good creative outlet, because I don't play guitar that well.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but I don't.
I understand that. Someday I'm going to come up with some sort of something that's like a looping pedal and a viola so that I can accompany myself on an instrument that I'm proficient in.
Yeah, well, the looping pedal, that came along basically just as a, you know, like as a jam tactic, just you know, for like self-made music at home. That way I found I could loop a simple bass line and I could start playing these new fiddle tunes I was learning, and that was it, you know?
That's amazing.
And it's fun. It's easy to play solo. I mean, it's easy to coordinate. It's easy to coordinate solo gigs and jams and stuff, you know, because
Yeah.
my solo project, I mean, I can jam every day, you know, and we don't have to call around and get the band together and oh, can we switch the time, you know? Well, it's pretty easy for me to discipline myself to play music, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe it comes from like being at McGill University, and if you've ever been in music school, I mean, there's this is why you get this feeling like every minute of the day that you're not practicing, it's like you feel guilty that you're not practicing.
Yep.
It's insane. It's insane. I'm glad I got through. I'm glad I went to music school. I'm glad I got through it, and I'm glad I have it behind me now. You know, to tell you the truth, you know, because it's a lot funner without that pressure.
That's absolutely true.
I mean, but the more I just did of that, like just singing and playing bass at home, the more I realized I could take this on the stage, and this could be entertaining for me personally anyways, you know. To tell you the truth, I'm really just trying to amuse myself, you know.
That's the best way to do it. Well,
So-
thank you for coming and playing for us today and amusing yourself in
All
front of a
right.
bunch of cameras.
Hope you enjoy. Pleasure's all mine.
Take care. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. We'll catch you next Friday.
Or they try to.
Why should I dance?